Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ned's Healing Sanctuary. I appreciate you being with me today, and I hope that this message finds you in great health and at peace. So, today I thought we would tackle a difficult subject for many of us, um, and that is healing grief. I mean, we as people, obviously, we lose people we love very close to us. We lose um, pets that, are a part of our families for a long time as well. And it's difficult sometimes, many times, to get over these losses. And so I, like you, probably have lost loved ones and grieved, and we've had to learn to pick ourselves up and move on. And that's very difficult for many of us. So today I thought we would focus on this healing grief. All right. So let's start with who or what are we? And the reason why I want to talk about this is to kind of show that it's not just our body that we're concerned with. Okay. And so we consist of multiple aspects. We consist of a body, which you see in the physical realm here. We consist of a mind, which is the conscious mind, or the ego mind, if you will. And we consist of a spirit, which many times I've said is here on our right shoulder. In actuality, it's that energy beam connecting us to the spirit realm through our top of our head, which is the crown chakra. Okay, now the spirit is ethereal, it's energy, and it's equivalent to that universal life force energy that is makes everything in the world alive. Okay, us, our bodies, animals, plants, trees, even Earth herself has this life force energy in it. And so our spirit is another way of saying that. We basically have a tether or a cord from our bodies to the spirit realm. And wherever that is, I don't mean to go up. It's just that's the way that it's pointing. All right. And then you can see the body has these energy centers, the lights areas here. And so this is how the energy travels through us. Okay. So we have this aura around us. And you can see that spirit has a neural network if you notice that white area around it. And that just shows our interconnectedness with one another. So we are connected to Earth. We are connected to everything on the Earth because we share the same spirit or life force energy. We're connected with all the with all the plants and with all the animals as well. So we all affect each other. And this spirit aspect of us does not die. It's ethereal. It's energetic. It lives on. Okay. Everything on Earth and other three-dimensional planets like it dies. All right. That's just the way things are. It's a law. And so nothing lives forever here. But in the spirit world, it does. And so um, this is one way of looking at um, death. It's not necessarily so final. Okay. If you look at it in the spiritual sense, your body and your mind are going to die and stay here on earth, right? But the spirit, the life force energy that is you, the real you, is going to live on. All right. And you're just here temporarily in a body to further your growth, spiritual growth, your learning. All right. So if you look at it from that sense, then death carries a different meaning. It's okay. And let's talk about what that means. So, from the spiritual sense that I just discussed, death is a transition, right? It's a continuation of the soul's learning journey. We're here for a period of time, finite. Right now, I am this body in front of you, but that's not the real me. The real me is this life force energy behind me. Okay. And so death can be thought of as a doorway or a step into your next existence. Okay. It's a transition period. You're just, um, death is not so final and you're gone forever. You can even think of it as being in heaven if you want. It's the same thing, right? You're living on, just in a different place, in a different form. And so that's really what is happening. And so when you lose someone, like I lost my father when I was 7 years old, it can be devastating when you think of it in such final terms, right? I have very few memories of him, actually. And so that can be hard. And I prefer to think of him from a spiritual sense, knowing that I'm going to see him again when I die or when this body dies. Okay? This is an easier way to look at death as a transition. All right? And so um, grief is kind of an expression of love because you miss the person, you miss their presence. They're not here physically with you anymore. So when you grieve for them because they're lacking from your life and you wanted them in your life, you still want them in your life. So, but grief can also be um, kind of taken from a negative and spun into a positive. Okay, this is called transmutation, where you take negative energy, negative emotion, right, and turn it into power for you to go in a different direction, to learn from it. Okay, so this can be a time of self-discovery, to understand who and what we really are and why we're here. Okay, and what is the meaning of life. Like in 2 episodes ago, I had an episode called Why Are We Here? And I think that really um, goes hand in hand with this episode on death and grief. So if you have not seen that episode, I encourage you highly to review it. It will give you a lot of good information about who we are and why we're here, and probably help explain more about death and our purpose. Okay? All right. So, how do we deal with grief? Well, the number one rule is to acknowledge the loss and the pain. Don't try to skip over it. Don't try to shorten it. Don't try to suppress it or sweep it under the rug or the bed. Okay? You must feel the pain. You must experience the loss. That is the best way. Okay? So fully acknowledge it. And then feel the emotions that accompany the grief. The grief can spin into different forms. It can turn into anger, right? You may be angry at yourself for not saying a certain thing to the person that you've lost sooner, or you're angry at them for leaving you sooner than they should have, right? Even though theoretically it's not in their control. It could turn into sadness. You know, you're sad they're not with you any longer, and other emotions could come up too. So, but because our lives are so short, relatively speaking, um, grief is just a part of our human experience. And for many of us, it's a life lesson. You know, if we're having a really difficult time getting over it, it means that we need to work on it more because it's not the last straw. It's not the end. Okay, you're going to see our loved ones again. We will, for sure. We're going to see our pets again as well, for sure. Okay, it's just that in this physical world, you're kind of closed off to everything else. Everything is separate from you, and you don't feel the other people and pets in your life when they pass away. And it's just the way it is here on earth. But if you transcend that, think from a spiritual sense, then the whole picture, the whole landscape changes of death and of grief. Okay? Um, so as you're dealing with grief, you can, while you're feeling the pain, you can still feel your loved one. Okay? You can believe they're with you, which they are, in another form. Okay? So look at it from this perspective, and that will help with the grieving process. So that was step one was acknowledge it. Don't skip over it. Don't brush it away. Don't try to forget about it. Okay, the next step is do a meditation that will allow you to process the emotions you're feeling and then let them flow. Remember, in past episodes, we've talked about the energy must flow freely or you're going to feel run down. You maybe even get sick, physically sick, because there are blockages in various parts of your body when the energy does not flow. So mindfulness and meditation allows you to um, give the feeling that you're feeling the time it needs. Focus on it, okay? Many times in silence. And then let it move on, okay? So you can observe your feelings. Don't be judgmental in what you're feeling. It's not wrong to feel sad or angry or to grieve. It's not wrong at all, okay? So don't feel bad about that. Don't try to shorten the period. Every person is different. Some people grieve for years over the loss of a loved one. Other people seem to be okay after weeks, okay? But there's no timetable. It takes as long as it takes for you. So we want to feel these emotions without judging them and then allow them to surface, come to mind without being consumed by them. So you are not anger, okay? You are not confusion. You're just feeling that temporarily as a part of the grieving process. Don't let it define you. Don't stay in a rut feeling like that for a long period of time, because that could get out of control. It could become larger than you and turn into depression or something else that you need help with. All right? So just be mindful of that. And you also want to think about the physical sensations you're feeling with the grief, right? You may feel tightness in your shoulders and your back. You might get back spasms. You might feel tightness in your chest area. Or you might feel like a pit in your stomach, that awful feeling that you get. Just notice those so that you can help release them with the emotion that you're feeling. And instead of saying, I shouldn't be so sad, that's a judgment right there. We don't want to judge. You can say, I'm feeling immense sadness right now. And that's okay. That's totally fine. Just acknowledge what you're feeling. Don't try to judge if it's good or bad, or you should or shouldn't feel that way. And then there are guided meditations as well that focus on grief and healing, or connecting with loved ones even. These can be particularly helpful to maintain that presence. I'll put a link to a guided meditation on grief in the description of this video. So if you're interested in that, they just kind of walk you through closing your eyes and processing grief. All right, it's very, very, very healing. So here's an example of the mindfulness meditation on grief. And what we'll want to do is find a comfortable seating position. It could be indoors or outdoors. Softly close your eyes. Take 5 or 6 deep breaths. Take a long inhale, 5 seconds, and then a long exhale, 5 seconds. And then gently call to mind the emotion that you're feeling. If you're feeling angry or just sad, bring it to mind. Okay? And then observe the emotion without judging it. And then label it. So give it a name, like what are you feeling right now? You could call it anger or sadness or, whatever, guilt for not saying something you should have said sooner to the person, something like that. Just label it. That way you're acknowledging its existence. Okay? Then try to locate the emotion in your body, as we mentioned, somewhere. Just sit and feel it. If you feel it, great. If not, no big deal. And then mentally repeat the phrase of acceptance of this emotion and sensation that you're feeling. Like, it's okay to feel this way. Okay? You could say, may I stop feeling this way now? You're telling your subconscious mind to process it and release it. Okay? And then you can release the emotion by imagining the tension melting away. Okay? It could be that sensation in your body, wherever it was. Just imagine it melting away. Like if it's a back spasm, just imagine the spasm loosening and the muscle returning to its normal self. Okay? And then once you resolve the sensation you're having, could be a negative sensation, pain usually, or tightness, something like that. Then you want to imagine your exhale because you're still breathing, not necessarily long breaths, but just breathing normally. Imagine the exhale carrying away the discomfort. And it could be the emotional one as well as the physical one. You're just blowing them out away from you. Okay? And if you do this maybe twice a day in the beginning, maybe once a day, whatever you're comfortable doing, each one can take 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you're comfortable with. This will help a lot. Okay? Just sit in silence with the emotion. Okay? Acknowledge it, stare it down, and then it will go away. If you ignore it, it's going to stay with you in the back of your mind and just eat at you. We don't want that. Another thing you could do to help deal with grief is create a sacred space or an altar in your home. Okay. And this will be like a physical space, a table. You could put pictures of your loved one, artifacts that were close to them, things of that remind you of them or that they loved. And that could be a tangible link to them. Okay. And so photograph, candle, flowers, objects that were meaningful to them. And then this is a place for you to honor them. It's kind of like a shrine. Okay, you can honor their memory. You can talk to them there. It may make you feel closer to them. And you can feel their presence there because of the artifacts that they loved or wore. And this reinforces the idea that their energy is still there, right? It's not so final, even if their physical form is not. It's also important to continue to communicate with your loved ones because, like we said, they're not gone. They can hear everything. Okay? They can hear everything. Their higher self, their spirit is still, in the spirit world, and they will come to visit you on occasion. You may see them in your dreams, even. Yeah. And, there are stories as well that when someone passes away, they go to the children. And because the children are, they haven't been jaded by life, they're not so distraught as soon as a death happens of a close person, a loved one. So that person may go to the child in the room to get their attention because they can hear them. They might be 3 years old or 4 years old, and they may give them a message or tell them to do something that will get the attention of the people that are grieving because they cannot hear the person who just died. There's a story I read about a man who passed away. He had a little girl with his wife, and he had just died, and his wife was overcome with grief, and she was wailing and crying, and he couldn't get through to her. He was trying to tell her, I'm right here. I'm right here. So he went to the bedroom, and his daughter was in there. I believe she was 3 years old. And he told her, honey, can you get my tie? This is his favorite tie. His wife probably tied it for him when he went on special meetings. And get that particular tie out of the closet and go hand it to mommy. So she complied. She said, sure, Dad. And she went to his closet, grabbed the tie that he was talking about, walked over to Mom, who was still grieving and wailing and crying, and said, Mom, Dad asked me to give this to you. And the lady, got choked up. The lady looked at the tie and just started, crying and laughing at the same time because she knew that he was still there. So that kind of just reinforces, what we've been saying is that we don't die. It's not like final, the end, right? We're changing forms, and it's just part of our soul's journey. Okay? We're transitioning. Okay? So open communication is important to continue to talk to your loved ones. So express your emotions and maintain a sense of communication through writing. You can write letters to your loved ones. They'll see them. They'll read them for sure. Share your feelings. This will help with expression, right? Instead of getting them blocked up. Memories, current life events, like what's happened, what's new since they passed away, right? It's like a letter that you would have mailed to them had they been alive if they were far away from you. But now they're in the spirit world and they're going to read it. And then you can also use a journal to explore your own emotions and write down like what you're feeling on a daily basis, um, and your spiritual beliefs about death and the afterlife, whatever you believe. This will just help with the release aspect. Nobody has to read it. It's just a way of you expressing yourself. And this will externalize your grief and provide a sense of ongoing conversation. Okay, so the dialogue is continuing with your loved one. Talk to your loved one, share memories with friends and family, keep their memory alive, okay, and your connection to them active. And then look for signs of your loved one um, while you're out and about on your daily life. Some people say they find a feather or see a specific animal that has meaning to them, both the deceased as well as you. Hearing a favorite song that you both or you all loved. Photos. In my case, my mom, her caregiver, used to call her Ladybug. And so she passed away in 2015. And so now, whenever I see a ladybug, I know it's my mom coming to see us. That's how I view it. And it does help. And many times she is there. I can feel her. You can also spend time in nature and do special movements to keep energy flowing. Okay. This is a way to deeply heal yourself. Nature is very healing, because the life force energy that's in us is in nature, all around it. Okay. And that can only help you with your connection to spirit and, to your emotions. Um, Walking, hiking, sitting in a park, these are all ways to feel grounded and connected to something bigger than you. And you can also do a walking meditation, right? Where you don't necessarily close your eyes, but you're in nature walking, and you can pretend that every step will let go of a heavy feeling. So it's a physical, like a visualization of um, the heavy feeling is like a finite amount in a jar, let's say, and you're reducing it each time you take a step until it's gone. It's a visualization um, tactic, and it works. You can also do a ceremony or a ritual, right? So one thing you could do is light a candle, and you could say, I acknowledge the pain of this loss, and I am willing to feel it. Okay? You're acknowledging what you're feeling, and you're not saying it's wrong. Okay? And the candle is just a ritual for you to do it. Or you could write your feelings on a piece of paper, right? These are like probably heavy feelings, some of them negative, I'm sure. And then burn it safely. And this is a way to imagine the grief being transformed into light and smoke, fire and smoke. Okay? So these are just ways to help resolve the emotions that you're feeling and dissipate them. And then you can also focus on love and positivity. This is a way to turn inward, look at the real meaning of things. Okay, so focus on practices that bring you joy and purpose. And it's not about forgetting the person, but about re-engaging with life from a place of love. You're rededicating yourself, coming from a place of authenticity. So you could garden, or you could create art. You could volunteer for a cause that your loved one cared about. And this is a way to get you reintegrated into the world. So you're not at home by yourself, just thinking negative thoughts all the time. And positivity allows you to more easily connect with your past loved one. Okay, because when you're positive, you've quieted those negative thoughts. Those negative thoughts are a barrier to spirit, higher self. You have a harder time hearing that intuition that's coming to you. So being positive reinforces that and allows that communication to be stronger. And then practicing gratitude, meditation, and positivity allow you to feel their presence more strongly, as we discussed. These are all positive feelings and activities. Gratitude is a great way. It's prayer. You're thankful for what you have. You're focused on what you have instead of what you don't have, right? These are very powerful. Some people think intuitive and energy work is helpful if you believe in those things. So you could work with a spiritual medium or a psychic, and they can provide a powerful sense of closure and confirmation from your loved one. Excuse me. Many times psychics have that ability to communicate with deceased. Okay, it's not a seance. It's just that they communicate with their spirit guide. Okay, and the spirit guide is communicating with the loved one or the spirit guide of the loved one. So they're conveying messages to you who are sitting in front of the psychic. Okay, this is real. There are a lot of frauds out there, so be careful. Don't go to just anybody. But if you know a reputable psychic, this can be very, very healing. I've been to a psychic, and so has other members of my family. Um, Other practices like Reiki, this is the energy, hands-on energy movement in your body, or sound healing. This helps you release stored grief. So, like I said, if you have a blockage, an energy blockage, usually grief, if it lingers a long time, you have a blockage. And the blockage is whatever emotion you're feeling. It could be sadness, right? It could be anger or just grief. And so that's bottled up somewhere in your body. So the Reiki practitioner can push it away through energy movement and physical massage. Okay. And so all of this is based on grief being not only an emotion, but physical and energetic, right? Physical meaning you're feeling it, a sensation in your body, and energetic meaning all thoughts, all emotions are energy, grief being one of them. All right. So that brings us to the end of this episode. I do hope that you found it helpful. I know so many of us have problems processing grief. So I do hope that you're able to share this with others that may be going through a tough time. Hopefully this will give them a different perspective, different way of looking at things that's not so final. And as a reminder, you can find Ned's Healing Sanctuary on all of these streaming platforms and sites. In addition to Instagram, where I have reels now available to view that are shorts, basically snippets from these episodes I'm creating. And then I also have YouTube shorts, which are similar to the reels. And you may see me on one of your shorts feeds in YouTube. So thank you for joining me. And please, if you haven't, give me a thumbs up if you like this topic, and consider subscribing to be made aware of content that I create. And I do appreciate you spending time with me today. And we'll see you again soon. Okay? Take care. I wish you peace.